Hey, this is Pastor Kevin, PK from Lighthouse Community Church in Des Moines, Iowa. It is good to be back with you again. It is a Thursday afternoon here. Got my Casey's Coke Zero to keep me going till the end of kind of the work week for me. Ends on a Thursday, so to keep me going to the end of the work week here. I finished up my sermon pretty much earlier, and so I could do a few maybe podcast videos here for you guys. It's been a good week so far. I was back in Illinois with my family. We celebrated my parents' 50-year wedding anniversary over the weekend. It was a lot of fun. We stayed in a hotel, saw a lot of family, a lot of my parents' friends from the neighborhood that I grew up in. So got to kind of connect that way. We brought our cat with us too, which was always kind of extra fun, just randomness that was thrown in there. Played my guitar a little bit for the party, did some hosting for it. My wife did a ton of work for it. She did a ton of planning and prep and made it really special. So today on the podcast here, Humble Boldness, I want to talk about something that I like. The point of doing this part of the podcast is to let you a little bit into who I am, what makes me tick, just some of my interests, hobbies, things like that you get to know me a little better. So, as maybe you can see from behind me, today is the Chicago Bears. I have been a Chicago Bears fan for, I think, my entire life. And before you just turn this off or don't listen or watch because you're not a Bears fan, I encourage you to actually listen through this because there's some points I want to make about hobbies and emotions and sports. I may go into commentary on the Bears in the future or that kind of thing, but I just want to give you a little insight into who I am and why this is important to me. I see the Chicago Bears as a hobby that I have. I used to be much more into basketball, baseball, even soccer sometimes, but for me, NFL, Chicago Bears, that's been my one team. I've tried doing fantasy football over the years, but I just want to root for my team and cheer for them. I don't want to root for Green Bay Packers or Vikings or anybody else. My dad told me when he was thinking of retiring that I thought was really good advice. He wanted to have hobbies that were inside, outside, and one that could do both. So for him, he tried things out like golf and photography or bread baking or working on the computer with a blog, writing a book, things like that. And it transitioned over the years for him with what that became. And for me, the Chicago Bears had been a good hobby for me. I'll explain why I hesitate to say good. Over the lots of years of my life, there's something I look forward to, I can cheer for, I can research, I can see, and I think with all of us, there is a fine line between our loves, our hobbies, things like that, and an obsession, an idol. There's definitely times in my life that I probably put too much time into my team, watching, caring about the emotions behind that. And so it's always the back of my mind of how do I balance that and just enjoy it for what it is, that it's real people and it's a game and to have fun with it. A couple of years ago, I think it was really during my sabbatical, I really got into podcasts. Now, my job as a pastor is a lot of intellectual thinking. It can be kind of emotional. It's not a lot of handwork. I'm not building things. I'm not outside constructing things. And so for me, I need a reprieve from deep thinking and my job. I love theology, I love the Bible, but I'm in doing that all day. I found having a good podcast that is different, takes me out of that, is really good for me. I'm a thinker, I'm a deep thinker, and I can mull things over and over and over, especially when I'm driving in the car. And so during sabbatical, I just started listening to lots of podcasts. I wasn't pastoring for a couple of months. I was intaking leadership podcasts, theology podcasts, and I found Bears podcasts. And there's some radio in Chicago podcasts and radio broadcasters I have not liked very much. Sometimes they're crude, sometimes I just don't really appreciate their opinions. I don't know. But I found these two guys, Hogue and Johns, Adam Hogue, Adam Johns, that were just kind of down to earth. They were serious, but kind of funny, really insightful. You know, they would do about 1 or 2 a week podcasts, and then got into CHGO from Adam Hogue, who does both. And that one is more frequent, funnier, makes me laugh, good insight. They're at training camp and games and behind the scenes. And it just kind of gave me a little deeper insight into this team that I love. And so I encourage you, if you have a team you love, go to other places, podcasts, things like that. Now, I want to give you a little bit of history of why I love this team, because it's deeply ingrained in me for many different reasons. Like I said, I've been a Bears fan for almost my entire life. I have a picture when I was almost 2 years old when the Bears won their only Super Bowl. January 1986. I watched the game with my family. My mom even took me to Chicago in January to the celebration of the Bears having a parade downtown. I'm sure it was freezing, but I was there. My family we love watching sports. It's been a good thing for us to connect on, talk about. We've watched the Bulls when they were really good over the years. We were White Sox fans, going to White Sox games because they were cheaper, and we were kind of from the south side of Chicago. We watched a lot of Bears games. I can remember watching Bears games in my basement with the volume turned down and the radio commentators turned up because we thought those were better commentators. Jeff Joniak was great. I remember too driving, and we'd go on road trips, and my brother would just read out loud the sports page statistics. That wasn't my favorite, but my brother, it was great. Even like my grandpa and grandma, my mom's parents, they were huge sports fans. My grandpa, he'd watch anything and everything. It was like a high school D3, Tuesday night game. He would watch it. They were from Michigan, so they lived a lot of Detroit and Michigan teams, but we've watched a lot of sports and connected over that over the years. And then when I got into high school, I really connected in my youth group. And one of the ways we connected is every single Sunday, we would have Sunday school, we would sit together at church, and then we'd come back to my house and we'd watch Bears games. And it was this huge group of people, some that really cared about the game, some that didn't. We'd watch the game, and at halftime, we'd play video games together. We would, get Taco Bell. We'd watch or play Mario Tennis, and we'd play Blitz as the Bears. And then we go to youth group that night. And so it was this like built-in friendship. My buddies, Adam and Doug and Kip, that we were the Bears fans. Steve, we loved watching the Bears guys. So it was kind of this, family and friends, and they were kind of good in the early 2000s. Went to the playoffs in 2001. And then, when I was in college, 2005, they went to the playoffs again. And I remember Adrian, she was kind of a Bears fan. I think she kind of said that to talk to me a little more when we first met. And when we were first kind of starting to talk a little bit, she invited me to her church, her home church. And I showed up like a Bears sweatshirt, and her dad was in like a suit and tie. I had no idea. And I invited her to watch the Bears game with me afterwards, thinking, yeah, let's just come watch a Bears game. And she thought it was like a date with my family there, and she was all nervous and made some excuse that she couldn't go. But we would do a middle school youth group together, and the Sunday that they went to the playoffs to play the Carolina Panthers, we had to tape the game on VHS tape. We couldn't watch it, and so we went back home or to Adrian's apartment, and we got set up to watch it. And back in that day, you had to rewind, your VHS tape to watch it. And Adrian and another friend were getting food ready, and I thought I rewound it, popped it in, and the ending score popped up. So I saw that the Bears lost. I think it was like 29-21. Stopped it, rewound it, and didn't tell them that I had seen that they lost, and watched the whole game knowing they lost. Oh, that was so terrible. Going on to seminary, the Bears made the playoffs. They went to the Super Bowl. Devin Hester returns the opening kick for the Super Bowl. Watching that, and they lost to Peyton Manning. But I remember being made fun of, because we went to school in Colorado, being made fun of by Broncos fans, and Devin Hester beating up the Broncos. It was great. Or when the Bears played the Cardinals, and Devin Hester won the game for them, and the famous interview afterwards with the coach about him saying, they were who we thought they were. And he kind of goes off, and I was taking a test that night and did it as quickly as I could just to go watch the Bears game. Players like Devin Hester, Brian Urlacher, Peanut Tillman, Jerry Azuma, which I got his autograph just this last week, Mike Brown, Anthony Thomas, McQuarters, Rosie Colvin, Lance Briggs, Robbie Gould, Matt Forte, Lovie Smith, the coach. I mean, all that. And then, living here in Iowa, they've been okay. They've been mostly not good compared to good. But in 2018, Mitchell started watching the games really with me a lot. And they had a great season. They went to the playoffs, and they lost in the playoffs on this double doink. They could have won the game by a field goal. It goes up and hits both the side upright, bottom upright. And I remember Mitchell was just in tears. He was so sad. But then after the game, he went down to his room and he came back upstairs, and he gathered all of our Bears stuff, posters and shirts and hats, and laid them out. And we had to take a picture with all that to show we were still Bears fans. It was part of his healing process, I guess. And so I've kind of decided this year I'm going to kind of take a few more steps in with the Bears. Yep, I got podcasts, watching the games. But there's been some fun things this last couple of years. The Bears have tried to reinvent themselves, a new GM, new coach, new quarterback. Kind of seen this upward trajectory of them going from 3 wins to 7 wins to hopefully more this next year. So Mitchell and I and my brother Sean went to the Bears training camp just this last week. It's free to go. It's in Chicago suburbs. I was kind of bummed because we went early to my parents' for the weekend for the 50-year anniversary for training camp. We had tickets, and then they canceled it that morning because rain and storms. But they still had the practice that day, and they were practicing with the Cincinnati Bengals. And so I was like, what? We could have gone and seen it still, been in the rain, but they canceled fans being there, and it kind of stunk. But then they gave us free tickets to Monday and Tuesday if we wanted to. So we actually went Monday to Bears training camp. Got some signatures, got to see them practice, got to be up close seeing them kind of do drills and little offense versus defense. It just kind of made it more real to kind of see the real people that they are, the coaches and all that. The Bears are on Hard Knocks. I've never watched Hard Knocks before on HBO, but this has been another little glimpse behind the scenes of these real people, personalities, the coaching they do. Get to see kind of progression of our new quarterback, Caleb Williams, some of the talent they've brought in. You know, that's part of why I watch this team too, is for leadership. I get to learn all kinds of things about how to be a good leader myself, watching coaches and players, veterans, even new rookies and how they handle themselves, and try to apply that even to my own life. We're also going to go to a Bears game in December. I haven't been to a Bears game in years. I mean, probably 20 plus years. We're going to go with my parents, Mitchell, my Aunt Chris, to a Bears-Vikings game in Minnesota. So I'm pumped for that. It'll be great. Now, the Bears have not always been good. Probably more bad than good in most of my life. And it's definitely caused some heartache and emotions in my own life. I mean, this whole training camp getting changed, that was harder than I thought it would be. Really excited for the day when it was going to be the day to go to the camp. And, that was the whole thing I was going to do that day. And then it gets canceled early that morning. I really did some work that morning to kind of think of my thoughts, deal with my emotions about what I'm feeling and thinking, and not trying not to be disappointed if the day be ruined. I can think back to in college when the Bears played a really close game against the Patriots, and my college roommate was a Patriots fan, kind of. He didn't really watch all the games as much as I did, and it was a close game. The Bears lost, and man, I was so mad. I was so angry for different reasons. I had to go for a run that night and get it out of me and get. I've had trouble. If the Bears lose, I'm thinking about it all week, especially if I'm doing podcasts and that kind of thing. And so that's been a thing for me to work on over the years of how do I not let a hobby of mine, the Bears, whatever, affect me emotionally in a bad way. Because it's out of my control. I can't control if they win or lose. It's a game. It's fun. And so I'm going to try to work on this year, especially, even when the Bears lose, to enjoy it, to see the good parts, all that kind of thing. So to kind of close this up, I mean, you can probably just tell from my voice or seeing me, this is what I just love. I love talking about it. I love watching it. It gets me excited. And for those of you who struggle with depression, like I have, find something you love. Dive into it. Research it. Know everything about it. Be a fan. Be an expert. Go into it. It's been fun for me to do that. Find a good hobby. Find a place, a thing, an activity that you can learn about, get into. I've had different ones over the years, from drawing to using pastels to music to the Bears to foraging. I keep trying to find new ones. Books, as you can see behind me. And I just encourage you to do the same. Try and find hobbies that are good for you. But beware of hobbies that you cannot control and how they affect you. For instance, the Bears, I can't control if they win or lose. And so I need to know that, apply that in my own life. As a Christian, I encourage you, find things you love. Appreciate the good gifts that God has given you. Appreciate the passions and convictions you have, and celebrate that. So, I don't know if you're a Bears fan. Maybe you are now if you're watching, listening to this, but bear down. I'm excited for this next year. It's going to be a fun year, I think, to watch this team grow and maybe make some mistakes and do all that. But hey, love you guys, and I'll see you next time.